This story begins like a harmless joke, but ends in obsession and destruction. Matthias and Frank are two teenage best friends. One night, they sneak into Matthias's mother's room, put on her wigs and clothes, and joke around like bored kids escaping reality. They laugh, dance, smoke, and turn the moment into a private game. Suddenly, Camille, Matthias's mother, walks in. Instead of getting angry, she laughs. She even helps by putting makeup on her son, treating it like innocent fun. The boys say they're going to a party, and Camille lets them go, unaware that this night will change everything. Later that same night, Camille waits for Matthias to return home. The house is silent. She feeds the cat, paces around, and feels something is wrong. Then the phone rings. The call lasts only seconds, but it shatters her life forever. One phone call is all it takes to destroy a family. Camille answers the phone and hears the words no parent should ever hear. Matthias has died in a car accident. Her world collapses instantly. She calls her daughter Laura to break the news, barely holding herself together. Soon after, Camille arrives at the hospital, where she reunites with her ex-husband Francois. Together, they identify Matthias's body. Back home, they search for clothes for the funeral. Every shirt, every jacket reminds Camille of her son's laughter, his movements, his life. Grief suffocates her. At the funeral, friends and family gather to say goodbye. Afterward, everyone returns to Camille's house for the gathering. But Camille can't handle the crowd. She stays behind at the cemetery, alone. And in that silence, something inside her completely breaks. Grief doesn't always fade. Sometimes it mutates. Camille suddenly leaves the cemetery and drives away. Without thinking, she heads to the place where the accident happened. In the forest, she finds the tree marked by the impact. There she meets Frank, Matthias's best friend and the driver that night. He's holding flowers. Camille hugs him and insists on taking him back to her house. At the gathering, everyone stares at Frank. They all know he was driving. The guilt follows him through every room. Laura confronts him emotionally, blaming him while pitying him. Frank retreats to a balcony, overwhelmed. Later, Camille invites him into Matthias's bedroom with the others. But emotions explode. A grieving girl attacks Frank, blaming him for everything. Camille steps in and decides to take Frank away to avoid more damage. On the drive, Frank finally tells her what really happened that night. Sometimes the truth hurts more than silence. Frank explains the accident. He lost control of the car. It flipped. His door was stuck. When he looked at Matthias, part of the car was crushing his stomach. Matthias was still alive, suffering. Camille listens, but every word feels like another wound. Before dropping him off, she takes Frank to the cemetery and asks him to say goodbye properly. Frank breaks down, drowning in guilt. 2 weeks later, Camille returns to work at her bookstore. She pretends to be okay, but at night, she drives to the accident site, hitting the tree with her hands, desperate for relief. She later visits Matthias's university to withdraw him. The tutor praises Matthias as a brilliant student with a future. Then Camille asks about Frank. What she hears about Frank alarms her deeply. Helping someone can become a dangerous excuse. The professor explains that Frank hasn't attended classes in weeks and likely dropped out. Camille panics and goes looking for him. She finds Frank working construction with his father, forced to earn money instead of studying. Camille is furious. She visits Frank's mother and offers to pay for his education and give him a job at her bookstore. The offer works. Frank returns to university, but Camille starts watching him closely. When Frank leaves class early, she notices the need to control him grows. She calls him and asks him to go for a drive. This time, Camille wants him behind the wheel. Control always demands more. Camille takes Frank to the accident site again and insists that he drives. She pushes him to go faster. He resists. She screams at him. The car almost crashes. Frank stops, furious, and walks away. Days later, Camille returns alone to the tree, smoking and staring at it in the dark. That same night, Frank arrives home to find his mother asleep on the couch. She says Camille has called 6 times asking about him. The phone rings again. It's Camille, and this time, she knows exactly where he is. Obsession never sleeps. Camille admits she's watching Frank from her car outside his building. He confronts her, furious, accusing her of stalking him. She claims she just wants to apologize and gives him an envelope. Inside are concert tickets, Matthias's favorite band. Against his better judgment, Frank goes with her. At the concert, Camille feels close to her son again through Frank. Later, they return to her house and share food. Frank tells stories about Matthias Yes, and Camille listens desperately, clinging to every memory. She comforts Frank as he cries, like a replacement son. But Camille's obsession is far from over. When grief turns reckless, destruction follows. Camille convinces Frank to buy gasoline. Together, they return to the accident site and set the tree on fire. They are arrested. Frank's father and Camille's ex-husband arrive. Frank's father files a restraining order against Camille. Months later, Frank's parents return a motorcycle Camille gifted him and demand she stay away. Soon after, Camille's daughter Laura visits to clean the house. Camille explodes, accusing her of invading her space, and throws her out even though Laura is holding her baby. Laura screams that Camille is still alive and walks away, but Camille isn't done chasing what she lost. Some obsessions cross borders and final lines. Camille receives a call telling her to travel to Italy. She packs immediately and goes to a quiet inn. At reception, she asks for Frank and claims she's his mother. They give her a key. She walks down the hallway, heart racing, and enters the room. Frank is asleep. Camille gently moves his hair from his face, staring at him with a mix of longing and obsession. She believes she's found him again, but some losses can never be replaced, only repeated.